Hi there guys, welcome to today's hypnosis lesson. Today I'm going to be explaining what happened in the last lesson when we were doing the rapid induction demonstration. But I want to say straight away, I was kind of really conscious of trying to cram it all into 15 minutes, that I rushed through that a little bit. What I should have done is spent a lot more time on the trance deepener, which I will recommend that you do. I was going to record it again, but I figured I've already talked about deepeners a little bit already, so there's going to be enough in there for you to be able to understand how to do that. But it wasn't until after I'd uploaded the video that I realised it was only 7 minutes long, so it just kind of felt like time was going a little bit quicker than it was. So I'm going to talk about all the different things that happened and just see which ones you noticed. And there's some things in there that are really, really cheeky and quite subtle, so there's a lot more going on than most people realise. So the first one, the very first suggestion was that he would go into trance quickly. And this is something that I said to you guys. I said, we've only got 15 minutes, so I'm going to do a rapid induction, so Adam's going to go into trance really quickly. I'm talking to the camera as I did that, so Adam's just waiting for me to start. His guard is down, he thinks we haven't started yet, and I'm just introducing the video. When you're on stage, one of the things I used to do, I'd get all my volunteers up, I'd do a test with them, I'd send back the people I don't need, and then once the volunteers are all sat down, I'd turn to the audience and I'd say, you guys are in for a real treat today. All the volunteers are really, really good trance subjects. They're really responsive to hypnosis, so we're going to have a lot of fun. Now, obviously, that goes into their minds as well. They do hear this, and it does affect them. If you're doing hypnotherapy and you've got a client with you, then the way that you kind of do this on a pre-talk is to just put some suggestions into your sentences. When you go into trance, you'll still be able to hear my voice. When you go into trance, you'll relax completely. You're not going to lose consciousness, but it's going to feel really good. So there's lots of opportunity to put some kind of embedded commands in there. And the one that I did with Adam was that he would go into trance very quickly. And the next thing that happened was all about compliance. I wanted to ask Adam to do something that was seemingly completely unrelated to the session, but I knew that he would comply, that he'd just follow what I've asked. And there's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, I'm checking for compliance. I want to make sure that he's happy to follow my instructions. If I ask him to do something and he looks kind of objects, or he hesitates, or he doesn't look like he wants to do it, I've not got compliance, so I'm not going to carry on with the induction. If that happened, I'd kind of backtrack, gain rapport with them a little bit more, and then check with compliance in a different direction. The second reason for compliance is a little bit like a yes set in sales. If you get someone to agree to something, no matter how small, they are more likely to agree to something else later. Now, in a sales presentation, people go through presentations and all the time they're looking for confirmation, they're nodding at people, and the people are nodding back. And when it gets to the end of the presentation where the real questions come in, people have been conditioned to follow orders. So it's kind of like a process of conditioning a person to respond positively when you ask them to do something or you command them to do something. Now, the thing that I did with Adam, I just said, Adam, will you stand up? I got him to stand up and I told him, I gave him a reason. I said, we're going to do a rapid induction, it's going to be a lot easier if you're standing up, so just stand up. Now, I knew I was going to do that, but when he came in, I told him to sit in the couch and he assumed that I would be doing a relaxation induction. Now, if you listen to the audio, what I included with a couple of lessons ago for the fast phobia cure, you might have noticed that I said in that session, you just want to pull your chair away from the wall. Now, I'd put that chair too close to the wall on purpose so I could give her that suggestion. She's blindly following what I've asked her to do. I got compliance. She did it without question. She didn't hesitate, so I know I can continue with the induction. And also, I'm conditioning her to follow my orders. Now, when I used to do stage hypnosis, one of the things I used to do is I'd put all the chairs out on the stage. I'd get all the volunteers up, I'd do my tests, I'd sit them in the chairs, but the chairs were all touching, they were really close together. And then I'd just say to everybody, you just want to spread your chairs out a little bit, so when you relax, you're not touching one another. I'm suggesting they're going to become relaxed, but I'm also giving them an instruction. And they all did it. Nobody ever kind of hesitated or didn't want to comply, because there's no reason to. They have no idea that's what I'm doing. So, what you want to do is just get a person to do something. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be as simple as, can you just stand over here? Just want to come up on stage. If you just want to sit down in this chair, it can be anything at all. Do you just want to loosen your belt because it might be uncomfortable? Do you just want to turn your phone off for me? Just want to loosen your shoelaces? Anything like that is going to be fine. When they comply, you're looking for two things. Are they hesitant? Do they look like they're objecting? Or are they just going along with it and following your instruction completely happily? If they're hesitant, then gain rapport with them, backtrack a little bit, have a little bit more of a chat, and then kind of check for compliance again a few minutes later. If they do comply, then you know you've conditioned them to accept what you're saying and to just follow it completely blindly. And you've also kind of got them into a situation where they're very happy to do what you're saying. It's kind of like put you into a position of authority. It's kind of like you're the boss, you're giving me instructions, I'm here to follow my instructions, and I'm not going to question them. So you're kind of setting up that role of authority. Right, the next thing, let me think. So Adam was on the couch, I got him to stand up. I'd already given that suggestion that he'll go into trance quickly. The next thing I did with Adam was all about gaining his attention. Now, back in the day, the old swinging pocket watch, the attention's on the pocket watch. That's the idea behind that. And it all comes from that idea from James Braid, where the person was gazing at the oil lamp that we talked about a long time ago now. So I need to get Adam's attention. The easiest way to do this is to touch him. So I'm holding onto his arms. I'm standing quite close. So I'm in his personal space. So I'm bringing his attention into me. And then to make sure I've got his attention, I tell him to look in my eyes. Now, there's an additional benefit to this. Most people don't understand hypnosis, and most people think that a hypnotist has some kind of weird magical power that comes out of their eyes. And it's kind of weird, but when people find out you're a hypnotist, a lot of people break eye contact and they won't look you in the eyes because they seem to think you can look straight into their thoughts, or they seem to think that you've got this power that comes from your eyes into them and affects them in some way. So when you've got someone's attention, they're nice and close, you're in their personal space, their attention is completely on you, and you're getting them to look in your eyes, they're going to start thinking, it's happening, what's he doing to me? What's he going to make me do? What's going on in here? So you kind of got that, they're on a little bit on edge. But really what I'm doing is I'm looking into his eyes and I'm just waiting for them to calm down. Kind of if he's preoccupied with thoughts, his eyes will be moving around a little bit and they're a bit busy. So I'm just waiting for that to settle down. So I've told him to look into my eyes and I'm just saying, just relax, relax, focus on my eyes and just relax. And the moment his eyes settle down, I lead into the next part of the induction. Now this is probably the most important part. I put my hands from his shoulders up onto the back of his head. And you couldn't really see this, but let's say if this is the back of his head, this is my hand. What I did with my middle finger, I just pushed forward just a little bit like that to tilt his head towards me. So I've got my hand up like this and I just pushed forward. Now try it on yourself. Don't do it so much that it hurts, but when someone does that to you, when you do it to somebody else, there's a little bit of a shock. It makes you jolt forward. Now, another technique that I used to use a lot on stage, I'd stand behind somebody with my hand round them and I'd tap them on the forehead and then pull their head backwards and it kind of come to rest on my shoulder, so my head was kind of here, right next to their ear. So I used to pull people's heads backwards onto my shoulder. That works great if you're getting them to focus on a point on the ceiling. If you want them to focus on your eyes, just pull their head forward onto your shoulder. It's the same kind of idea. Now, I can't be completely accurate with this, but I am pretty sure that many, many years ago, I remember reading in some science journal the idea about your biochemistry within your brain and different things happening when your head is suddenly jolted. So that idea of jolting someone's head back or forward, I think there is something that goes on chemically there that changes your state. I can't be certain what that is, but I'm pretty sure I've read something about that. But what we're kind of really doing it for is just to shock someone a bit. Now the way to think about this, critical factor, completely comfortable. You jolt their head and it's like, whoa, unfamiliar, what do I do? This is unfamiliar to me, I'm desperate. And it's almost like the critical factor is drowning and trying to grab a lifeline. Your lifeline is the command sleep. So you flick the head forward and as you do it, you command sleep. So you flick the head, their critical factor has gone, this is unfamiliar, I don't know what to do, I'm confused, I'm overloaded, give me something to grab hold of, give me a direction to follow. Instantly you command sleep. You do it in not a monotone, but an authoritative tone. It's kind of like a downward inflection, so it's sleep. Pull their head forward, rest it on your shoulder. So that is kind of the window from consciousness into the state of hypnosis, but we've got to then go into the trance deepener. If you just left it at that, they'd wake back up. So it's normal consciousness, sleep, back to normal consciousness. Normal consciousness, sleep, deeper and deeper and deeper and relax, listening to my voice. They'll lead down into trance. So I pulled the head forward, I've distracted him a little bit, caused a little bit of confusion, a little bit of shock, and also I'm talking quite quickly. So I've sort of overloaded his conscious mind a bit, so it's kind of give up control and the subconscious is taking over. So there's a few things going on there. I then did what I call a deepening loop. I talked about my voice, talked about him becoming more relaxed and his breathing, and I linked those three things together. As you listen to the sound of my voice, this causes you to focus on your breathing. And as you focus on your breathing, you become more and more relaxed. And as you become more and more relaxed, you can notice the sound of my voice, which causes you to breathe a little deeper, causing you to relax even more deeply. So we loop in those things around and around and around. At the same time as doing that, I'm changing my tonality and I'm changing my pace. So I'm starting to talk deeper, I'm starting to slow things down. I'm starting to leave pauses between words. Now I've gained rapport with him on one level by talking quickly where he's in normal consciousness. I've slowed my voice down and his mind has slowed down to come along with it to maintain that rapport level. So that's what's going on there. There's a few things leading him in a certain direction. I've also told him that when I tap you on the back of the head, which I was doing continuously, this is going to cause you to relax more deeply. It's going to send you deeper into trance. So there's a few things that have been built up on top of each other there. But really, it's all really simple stuff. Once we've done that, what I would normally do is go on to a more in-depth deepener, bringing in all the senses, maybe incorporating a scene of walking downstairs, relaxing on a beach, that kind of idea. What I actually did is went into a couple of different therapy things, really simple stuff. I wanted to build up some excitement for him about his business, and I knew he's getting into doing a business on the internet, and he'd asked some questions about HTML and FTP, and he was a bit confused and overwhelmed by it, and he saw them as big blocks. So I knew he'd got those blocks there, and they were intimidating. So I just got him to imagine that he was running forward, bursting through them, and that felt good. So the blocks are still there. The idea of him having to learn these things isn't going to go away. But now he's facing them head on, he's running at them and he's bursting through them and they're just shattering into nothing, and it's an effortless process. Once he'd done that a few times, I got it to go faster and faster. Imagine he was bigger and stronger. And then we had the breathing in and the breathing out. It's a really simple thing to do. Breathing in certain qualities. He's running a business, so customers equals money equals abundance, so breathing in abundance. And also he's got quite a good business. It's a good product and it offers people value. So he's breathing out value. And then I incorporated the happy smiley faces, which were the customers that were very, very happy to have purchased these products that are enriching their lives. So a really, really simple therapy. I did kind of break a couple of the rules. I pushed it into the present tense, pushed it into the future tense a little bit, excuse me, which perhaps in hindsight, what we should have done is burst through the walls, and then said, I want you to imagine now that you're a month in the future, and as you stand there in the future, you can see loads of wonderful, happy people, and these are your customers, and they feel great to have already purchased your product. So you can see how if we can project ourselves in the future, we can talk about an event that's not happened yet, as though it's already happened, and it's actually in our past or in our present, connects with the emotion of it more. So I did kind of rush through it. And also I was a little bit overconscious of trying to squeeze in 15 minutes for the camera, which is insane because I had more than enough time. But in hindsight, there are a couple of things I would have done a tiny little bit differently. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys, that when you do things with people, there will be times when you think, oh, I could have done this a little bit different, but never beat yourself up over that. Just make a mental note and the next time do it that little bit different. But I've got to say, when you're not recording it as a lesson, in front of a camera, knowing that people are going to watch it and pick it apart, it's a lot easier to focus on what you're doing. So in a normal situation, it's much easier to kind of make sure you're doing everything the way that you'd like to do it. So that's sort of how rapid inductions work. You don't have to follow that exact format, but there's lots of different styles you can use for rapid induction, lots of different things you can do, but they're all kind of based on the same sort of idea. You kind of get compliance, you get attention, you sort of shock someone a little bit, you take advantage of the vulnerability of that shock, you give them some suggestions, you flow into the deepener, and then you go into some therapy. The really important part, the most important part, is from the shock to the deepener. I would suggest that when you say the word sleep, follow it with the word because and link it into a loop deepener, like saying your voice, becoming more relaxed, going into trance, your voice, that kind of thing, and loop things round. Because if you don't do that, the person's going to come along, go into trance, you don't lead them anywhere, they come back out again, and they're just like, whoa, that was a bit strange. If you do that, they'll just come straight back out. It's sleep, relaxing deeper and deeper, because as you listen to the sound of my voice, you relax even more deeply. As you relax more deeply, you go deeper into trance, and the deeper into trance you go, the more my voice can go with you, and just loop that thing around. So that's all for today. A little bit of a quick introduction to rapid hypnosis for you there. I hope you enjoy it, and it is a wonderful thing to practice on people. So until next time, you take care, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.